What up, brothers and sisters? It's your brother G World 7_D. I want to continue what I was saying the other day, or just follow up on certain things. Here's a book called The Moundbuilders: Ancient Peoples of Eastern North America by Thames and Hudson, and the book is written by George R. Milner. Now we're going to turn to page 18. I just want to emphasize what I said. Okay, we're going to go to page 18 right here. Let's see if I can get something up. Hold it in the corner. Hopefully they can hold it right there in the corner. I'm going to read this. I can stay still on here. Now, I can see this here. It says, okay, here it is. Innumerable archaeological sites. Well, first of all, it says, preserve these beautiful embassies, right? Innumerable archaeological sites, including impressive mounds, have fallen victim to the necessities and conveniencies of modern life, as well as the curiosities and cupidity of looters, commonly called pot hunters. In fact, site destruction was one of the reasons Cyrus Thomas considered the late 19th century mound survey so pressing. This is still an issue today, only there are far fewer sites than just a century ago. The means of protecting sites were quite limited before the last few decades. Appeals could be made to civic pride, but they were rarely effectual. St. Louis, for example, was once proudly referred to as Mound City, but that did not halt the destruction of its mounds. A few lonely voices argue that they ought to be preserved for the betterment of the city's inhabitants, with one person expressing surprise that individual taste and public spirit do not unite to preserve these beautiful embassies in their exact forms and connect them by an enclosure with shrubbery and walks, thus forming a promenade that might be the pride of St. Louis. Sadly, this was not done. Land was too valuable and greed too great, and the mounds had vanished by the mid-19th century. When the biggest of the St. Louis mounds was being leveled, a newspaper reported that curiosity hunters flocked there daily by the hundreds, armed with all sorts of vessels, hoping to secure and carry off some relic of the past ages. Quick to capitalize on excitement, a local business announced that a curious two-wheel vehicle, supposed to be an ancient velocipede from the Big Mound, was on display. Velocipedes were causing quite a stir in St. Louis, and one supposedly from the Big Mound was sure to excite credulous onlookers. Fortunately, mounds in a number of places were incorporated into city cemeteries or public parks, and were thereby afforded some protection. One such example is a tall conical mound. Remember I said it was different shapes, the conus, in a mound cemetery in Marietta, Ohio, over a century and a half ago. Ephraim Squire and Edwin Davis singled out the citizens of Marietta for special praise for preserving their mounds, while eliminating the loss of what would have been striking ornaments in other cities. In fact, the early settlers of Marietta were so proud of their mounds that they dignified them with Latinized names. The Serpent Mound, also in southern Ohio, is also a well-known site that was saved. In this instance, a group of prominent Boston women raised the purchase price in the 1880s, and the earthworks was then turned over to the Peabody Museum at Harvard University. In 1900, the Serpent Mound was deeded to the Ohio Historical Society, which still maintains it as a public site. The surviving mounds and villages are for the most part located in rural areas, but such settings do not fully protect them. Plowing soon reduced mounds to low domes, obscuring their original shapes and removing the uppermost burials and building remnants. The destruction of mounds began long ago, as early as the 18th century. Thomas Jefferson reported that the height of the mound he excavated, I repeat, Thomas Jefferson reported that the height of the mound he excavated was already diminished by plowing. Over 200 years later, the situation is that much worse. Pot hunters also take a tremendous toll of archaeological sites. The most notorious excavation for profit took place in the 1930s during the height of the Great Depression. A group of men called themselves the Picchola Mining Company tunneled deep into a large mound at the Spiral site in Oklahoma. The artifacts they unearthed, including impressive engraved marine shell cups, were then sold for a tidy profit. Public outrage fanned by newspaper articles eventually prompted efforts to halt the looting and the conduct proper excavation to make sense of this remarkable find. Today, the site is fortunately preserved as the state's sole archaeological park. The situation has now improved because of the stricter laws guarding against the disturbance of sites, especially those on public land. Pot hunters can be prosecuted for looting sites. These bastards was just looting and destroying everything. And here's a good picture. It's in this book. Here they're standing up on top of Mound, which is in Mound City in the St. Louis area, where it's destroyed, and the bastards standing on top of it. And here it is. It says right here, the Big Mound at St. Louis, once nicknamed Mound City, was flattened in 1869. Other mounds in the rapidly growing city were destroyed as well, despite the outcry of concerned citizens. Now look at these bastards over these mounds that our ancestors built globally. Now I told you that they're doing the same thing in Brazil with those pyramids that made of seashells. They did the same damn thing. You see them destroying the mounds right here. I'm following what I said before. We had over 1 million mounds here in Americas. Now, them serpent-looking mounds were like a little snake image. You had the conical mounds. You had like hill-type mounds. You had very different shaped mounds. Many of them were destroyed. Many of them were knocked down. The sides were knocked down because these bastards are doing this. Call themselves expanding to the United States or expanding to the West, whatever. They destroyed and knocked down our ancient ancestors' relics, man. And like I said before, I'm going to hammer this stuff down because we were building these mounds and pyramids and castles all over the globe. We weren't just in Africa, damn it. We were all over the damn planet. This planet is ours. But we got to start understanding that. We got to start learning our true history, understanding our true history, and then comprehending what we're reading. All right, brothers and sisters, I said I'll follow up. I wanted to do it yesterday. I wasn't able to do it yesterday. I ran the track in the morning. I was feeling good and keep my body tight. That's what a brother has to do to continue to look good. No, but I'm not arrogant. But for real, I want us to continue to do the research and study our damn history. And here's the book. All right, it's from the book, The Moundbuilders, Ancient Peoples of Eastern North America, published by Thames and Hudson. And the author is George R. Milner. And look at the serpent mounds. I mean, people see this is in Ohio. The serpent mounds. We're known to build mounds all over the damn planet. We have to understand it. We need to read our history. So here's a source. But I read you information from that book. All right. So go check this book out. This is a good book. All right. The Moundbuilders. The Moundbuilders. All right. Peace and love, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to try to come with another one. Hopefully later on this week, probably on Saturday. All right, if I can do it early on Saturday, it's cool. All right, peace and love. Stay real. Love yourself. Learn that we're people globally, and we sail with ships, particularly wooden ships. Peace. Bye.